Hey, it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I am here to reveal all my dirty little secrets about star ratings. So normally I adhere to a strict laziness policy in regards to my BookTube channel. So I don't often do discussion videos, if at all, really. Yeah. They require, making notes and possibly scripting and probably some editing, none of which do I do. But I was watching Supposedly Fun's video on star ratings. It was nice, but to be quite honest, I'm not overly concerned with star ratings. But then Jacqueline did a response video and I was watching hers as well because, they're both great booktubers and I enjoy their thoughts. Jacqueline mentioned my name because I choose my books according to the star ratings. I confess I do. So here I am to tell you all about it. And I do have a rough notes. However, I have not organized them. I just wrote them 60 seconds ago. So my segues are going to be non-existent and the order is going to be haphazard, but here you go. So I have a great deal of admiration for people like Shawn, the book Maniac, who has a very stylized type of reading that he enjoys. He loves rich characterization and a sense of place. And he's willing to cast his net wide out into the bookosphere to find those books he loves. And he reads a lot of books that he doesn't love, portions of them, bailing often, but to find the books that he is really passionate about. So that's really cool and one reading style that I, like to watch. And then Jacqueline of 6 Minutes for Me reads a lot of new releases, even not yet released books. And I really appreciate this aspect because, Shawn's finding some oldies but goodies for me to read. And Jacqueline is, wading through all of the new stuff to find the gems. And, they're both doing me such a service. I appreciate it so much because I'm here to just read the good stuff. Yes, that's me. Which leads me to my next bullet point. My own personal rating system is fairly non-existent. I don't rate books. I read books, I pick them up, I assume that they're all 4 stars. So every book I pick up is with the assumption that it's a 4-star read. And then it remains a 4-star read unless it sparks me intellectually or emotionally, or it's, just extremely well put together in all regards. I'll bump it up and say, this is a really great book. Or if there's something that doesn't gel with me, clunky writing or just offensive social issues, things like that, I'll say, there's something a little off with this one, and it's a 3-star or even less, but that rarely happens. So yeah, that's just for me. In my journal, like there's no ranking unless it's a 5-star. I like to, color those in with a little gold dot. And if it's less than a 5-star, I color those in with a purple dot because, purple is not my favorite color. But anyway, I don't use Goodreads. I don't ever rank anything on Goodreads. Yeah. It's just, it gets back to that laziness factor and it's just way too much work for me. And also I have personal issues with anything that, you know, can be done obsessively, that, you know, you feel this compulsion to keep up with it in a rigid fashion, like Goodreads and recording every single book you read. I can get a little compulsive about that kind of stuff, so I try to avoid doing it. So yeah, I don't do Goodreads. I thought about it when I first got on to BookTube, but you know, in my mind, I was like, you know, thinking back over all these books I'd been reading prior to BookTube and whether I should go back and put those on and think of some books from my childhood that were my favorites, and you get the picture, you know. So I just, oof, don't do it. But I do use Goodreads. I check the ratings on Goodreads when I'm in a used bookstore and I'm, you know, bringing in new books into my home at the used bookstore. Anytime I see a book that's interesting or I've heard of it before, I whip out Goodreads and I check that star rating. I do. And 3.85. Got a pretty high standard there. 3.85 is my bar. So I'll go under 3.8 and I mean definitely over, but I'm pretty strictly adhering to that 3.85. Now, I will stray from it a lot. So if it's a book that the topic is especially interesting for me, and this would be more for nonfiction, I will definitely go under that bar. If it's a book that's been specifically recommended to me by someone whose opinion I value, I will definitely go under that bar. So it's not like I can't go under 3.85. I definitely can. But there has to be extenuating circumstances for me. And I totally agree with everyone that says the reviews are more valuable. But gosh, that's a lot of work too, reading all those reviews. I could have read, you know, a whole chapter by the time I get through reading those. I'm being sarcastic, but anyway, you get my point. It's just fast when you're in the bookstore and you want to know, and you know, I'm not much of a shopper, to be quite honest. So yeah, I want to get it done and get home. That's what I'm all about, being in the house. So I know, I fully realize that I could be missing out on some really hidden gems that could be impacting me greatly. I get that. But that's what Jacqueline and Shawn are here for. But also, I think my ever-growing physical TBR, despite my serious attempts to keep it under control, I think that would attest to the fact that I'm not having any trouble finding books to buy and read. The Tower of Doom, guys, the Tower of Doom is here to tell us all that I'm not having any trouble finding those books to read, even though I have a pretty high standard with my, you know, star rating system. So yeah. And I hate to say, you know, I know there's that argument that 3-star reads are good. And yeah, totally. But I don't want to read good books. I want to read the great ones. Remember, I'm over here assuming that every book I pick up is a 4-star. So I don't want to go around picking up those 3 stars if I'm over here assuming that they're all 4 stars. And, you know, I've even seen people that will, at the end of the year, go back and adjust their star ratings on their books on Goodreads to nail a perfect 3-star average of all their reads for that year. And, I mean, that is fascinating to me. because all of our minds work differently, right? Like we all have different interests and things that really punch our buttons and get us going. And I mean, that is so cool and fascinating for me to see and watch. And I really respect that math nerd geek out coolness. But that's not my style of reading, you know? So it doesn't make sense for me to like average out my readings as 3-star because like I said, I'm reading like probably it's going to be good from the get-go. So someone like Jacqueline or someone like Shawn who is casting a wider net, yeah, they're going to have that, you know, bell curve. But my bell curve is way skewed to the right simply because of what I gravitate toward initially. So that's not to say that I don't. I like to read some new releases, but even then, I'm not buying books that I don't know anything about. Even the new releases, I don't seek them out before everyone else. I usually wait to hear about them from, you know, people like you. Thanks so much, guys, for doing all of this groundwork for me. Yeah, I even do some pre-orders, but those are books that the author is, you know, the author that I already know and love. So yeah. Anyway, let me check my notes. Just a minute here. What else do we? Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention about the Goodreads. Sorry, I got an itch. You do have to be careful with that. Let me counsel you here. So new releases are, you got to be much more careful with the star rating with new releases because as Jacqueline and Greg both said, people that are getting those books for free or because they have a relationship with the author are going to rate them higher, you know, than they normally would. Or, you know, I guess if somebody's got a hit list for somebody, they're going to, you know, blackball them. But anyway, you do have to be careful with the new releases because they have a lesser amount of ratings. So there's a greater possibility of that rating to be skewed. Definitely. But you know, once a book's been out and about for years, I mean, those classics, man, they got how many 100,000 ratings? I mean, over time, the rating system levels out and becomes more accurate. So if a book's got under 1,000 ratings, you definitely have to be careful. But the more ratings it gets, the more leveled out the response becomes. And I also need to speak to the niche atmosphere on BookTube. We get all excited about this concept of people not being fair with their rating systems because they're review books. And that is, I mean, definitely something to consider, like I said. But when I first came across Goodreads, when it first launched as a platform, I was a scrapbooker. I know. And hardcore scrapbooker, like getting my layouts in magazines kind of thing. I mean, I get really aggressive about things, which is why I deliberately choose lazy on BookTube. But anyway, so in the scrapbooking world, you know, this new book platform for readers came out, and you know, us scrapbookers were very aware of things going on the internet. So yeah, it was really exciting. Like, ooh, have you seen this? No, wow, cool. So we all joined Goodreads, all us scrapbookers did. And then I morphed into the planning community, and you know, all these planners are on Goodreads, and I'm a public school teacher, and you know, teachers read too, and we're all on Goodreads. But the thing I want to say about that is that we're not reviewing books. We're not interested in reviewing books. There aren't many hardcore bibliophiles. So in the broader Goodreads environment, I think those reviewers that would be skewing books is very small in the grand scheme of things. So yes, it can skew the score, but probably not all that greatly, and especially not as much over time. So there is that. The other thing I wanted to mention was that you do have to be more careful with genres as well. I was just watching Chris Bookish Cauldron, and he mentioned this, but like in the fantasy world, those ratings are mega inflated. So if you are not a often reader of fantasy, you might grab a book that's got 4.5 stars and start reading it and go, what the heck? But you know, fantasy lovers read what they love and love what they read, and the star ratings are inflated. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's a reality that you need to be aware of. I would say probably the same thing with, you know, maybe romance and thriller. I think you just have to be more careful with the genres because those star ratings can also be inflated. And size. I have realized recently with finishing War and Peace and DNFing, what was that book? I didn't even DNF it, I unhauled it. That book with the blue cover, by George Foster Wallace. You know the one. It's not on the Tower of Doom anymore because I sent it to the unhaul pile. I don't know. But anyway, I came to the conclusion that size does matter with ratings as well. Because some of those books, not War and Peace particularly, but this George Foster Wallace book, Infinite Jest, sorry, has a really high rating. So I was like having all this FOMO about unhauling it. And that's when I started, that's when I start looking at reviews seriously. I don't look at them on the front end when I'm choosing books because, I mean, you guys tell me what to read. So, you know, it's not often an issue anymore. But I definitely look at reviews on the back end when I have a book that I've picked up somehow and don't think I'm gonna like, and I'm considering unhauling it, but I'm not sure if I should. I start reading reviews then and seeing what people are saying, why they unhauled these books, or why they gave them low ratings, or why they DNF'd. And I have found that I think those really big books get amplified ratings because people that would not like them didn't read them to begin with, or didn't finish and felt like they couldn't rate them because they didn't finish. So only the people that are really appreciating the book are finishing it and rating it, and therefore the rating gets inflated. So there's that as well. Which reminds me that there was another topic about should you rate a book if you DNF it? Now, you know, the uncensored side of me says, ooh, icky, no. But the moderating side of me says, well, you know, you do you, and it all comes out in the wash anyway. But upon reflection about this big book inflation issue, you know, maybe it's not a horrible thing to rate a book if you haven't finished it, because like I said, it goes both ways. Yes, rating a book you haven't finished can have a negative impact on a book unfairly, but not rating books that you haven't finished and really hated can cause, you know, overinflation of the star ratings on Goodreads. And really, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just gonna stop. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say about that. So I hope you guys are having a great day. Yeah, I do feel guilty. I meant to say this earlier about not rating books on Goodreads because I do use the rating system on Goodreads, but I have two thoughts on that. And one is that I'm just a fairly indiscriminate reader. I really respond to books thematically and go at them because of what the author is communicating with me. So some books I read for entertainment value, and I can see that those are faulty with plot or characterization or, you know, whatever, clunky dialogue. I hate that. But anyway, the vast majority of literary fiction, though, I can like various styles of plot, characterization, theme, and it just depends on what I find that the author is communicating to me. So I just don't feel like I'm a very discriminate rater anyway, because, you know, I'm not overly concerned. And the second thing is, when I started feeling guilty about, you know, not rating on Goodreads, but using the ratings, and then I started thinking, you know, it's just another instance of me getting all, you know, worked up about something that doesn't really matter, because I'm here putting videos out on BookTube, and, you know, it's just for fun, and I'm having a good time. But I think some people really enjoy them and get a lot out of them at times. And those people might not ever tell me that they watch my video. They might not leave a comment or even a like on it. They might not make videos themselves. But I don't judge them, you know. I'm just happy that someone has gotten something out of the video. So I hope people are gracious with me, and I just think we're all doing our part no matter what we're doing. That's my TED Talk for today. Chat with you soon. Bye.